My biggest regret in my first year fishing was not knowing this lure sooner. I've caught 114 fish off of it, and it laid the foundation for the largest lure brand today. It's the Rapala Floating Minnow.
And today, we're gonna learn how to use it, also known as the Rapala Original Floater. This is my favorite lure, second only to the inline spinner, because this thing can catch fish. But before we get started, where do you fish this kind of lure? Unlike my favorite lure, the inline spinner, this works better in still water. That isn't to say you can't use it in a river. I fish almost entirely in streams, and I have good luck with this just about anywhere I take it. But it definitely works better in still water. Remember, it's a floating lure, so it's gonna excel in shallow water. Most of these lures are rated between 4 and 6 feet deep. That isn't to say you can't fish them in deeper water. In fact, Rapala suggests that you can attach a split shot weight to have it work at lower depths. That said, I haven't really had any luck with that, so I just stick to using it in shallow water.
This lure also comes in a bunch of different sizes, ranging from the 1.5 inch f3 size all the way up to the 7 inch f18 size. I tried a bunch of them in a recent fishing challenge, and you should check it out. The link is in the description.
If I was just gonna have one of these lures, it would be the F5 Rapala Floating Minnow. I use it more than any other size, and I've caught a ton of fish off of it, including 4 PBs this year. And if you're wondering what color to use, I am very biased towards the natural colors. So the silver right here, this is the original silver color. This one's my personal favorite, but I've also had success. This is a rainbow trout color in the F5 size. That one works really well. And I also have this yellow color, I believe it's called Golden Shiner. I've had success off all 3 of these colors, and as long as you stick to a natural color, I don't think you can go wrong. And I know there are plenty of you in the comments that love using the Fire Tiger and the bright colors, and that is perfectly fine. If you're catching fish off of it, don't let me tell you otherwise. You also see me using a snap swivel here. I'm just lazy, I don't like to tie every single time I switch out a lure, but you do not need any kind of swivel with a lure like this. So how do you fish with a Rapala Floating Minnow? So the first way that I use this lure that I have a lot of success off of is just a steady retrieve. You can just reel it in constantly, and that works fine. And as it gets closer, you'll see that beautiful action on the lure. It's very effective. And when you're doing that steady retrieve, feel free to play around with how fast you're reeling it in. I find it works better at a slower retrieve, but sometimes the fish won't hit it if it's too close to the top, in which you have to reel it in a little bit faster. Another way you can fish with this lure is with a stop and go retrieve. So after you cast it out, you'll reel it in just a little bit and then take a pause. And when you pause, you want to make sure that it sits up at the top for a little bit. That is my go-to method to getting top water bites off this lure. And when it's at the top, you can twitch it a little bit too, kind of like a jerkbait, but make sure after any movement that you give it some time to sit on the top. When it sits on the top, that is a perfect opportunity for fish to strike. And that stop and go motion also does a really good job at mimicking an injured baitfish, which is exactly what this lure is trying to replicate. Now, I wouldn't be doing this lure justice today if I didn't catch something. So let's take a few casts and see what it can do. Fish! Fish on! Fish on! Oh, it threw the hook on me! Fish! Fish on! Fish on! All right! Awesome! Looks like we got a nice largemouth bass. What a beautiful fish. Back in the water. So that catch was actually off of the smallest F3 size. I stepped down because I saw them looking at the F5, but they weren't taking any hits on it. But both the one that threw the hook and the one I just caught were off the F3 size. And that's a good example of a stop and go retrieve. I reeled it in a little bit, I got their attention, and then I let it sit at the top and they slammed it. Let's see if I can get one more. Fish! Fish on! Fish on! Oh, look at that! It's a beautiful little crappie. This one's smaller than most I've caught, but still really fun catch. This one was also caught with the F3 Floating Minnow, but this time it was off of a steady retrieve. As I was reeling in, I just felt it hit, and I pulled in this crappie. Thanks for the fun, buddy. Let's get you back in the water. I still think the F5 size is the most versatile, but general rule of thumb, if the goal is to catch fish, the smaller lures always do the best because you're opening yourself up to fish at any size. Well, hey, if you want to get one of these lures for yourself, I'll have a link in the description. I hope this video helps you crush it out there with the Rapala Floating Minnow. If you found this useful, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe, and leave me a comment if there are any other lures you want to see me cover. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.